mystery of the frozen woman who returned from death and surprised everyone, according to what Jean Hilliard tells us. The Jean Hilliard case is another mystery. She was found in the snow by a neighbor, completely frozen. But she survived, and today we're learning her mysterious and enigmatic story. Sometimes the nature of the human body surprises us beyond the limits of what we consider normal, and the case we present is just another perfect example of that. The incident happened in Lenby, Minnesota, USA, on a very cold winter morning in the early 1980s. Wally Nelson discovered Jean Hilliard's teenage neighbor buried in the snow, her whole body rigid and icy, having been exposed all night at a temperature up to an incredible 25 degrees Celsius below zero. And having converted minus 25 degrees Celsius is minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 13 degrees below zero. Apparently, Jean had an accident with her car when she was returning from somewhere past midnight. After that, she got out of her car, started walking, and desperately heading to the house of Wally Nelson, the neighbor, for help. However, she collapsed just a few yards from outside of his home. And the next morning at 7, Wally saw her. When he found her body, he immediately called the local hospital, where she was surprised by the doctors. One of the nurses said Jean was as cold as if she had come out of a meat freezer, and that her face was completely white, pale as a dead man's. Jean suffered from severe frostbite, and doctors could not move or bend any of her joints. Her pulse was only 12 beats per minute. The hospital's medical staff did their best, but her condition was critical. Even if Jean could regain consciousness, her brain would likely have been severely damaged. In addition, her freezing point was such that doctors planned to amputate both of her legs. Her family could do nothing but wait for a miracle. 2 to 3 hours later, Jean began to regain consciousness, and it touched the perfect mental perception, but also physical reaction, although a little confused. She had perfect mental perception, and then physical reaction, although a little confused. Even the frost slowly began to fade from her feet, until there was another surprise that the doctors observed, who could not understand how such a thing could happen. 49 days later, she was almost completely recovered. The doctor's honest statement said, "I can't explain why she's alive." This is what George Sather said, who dealt with the case of this 19-year-old girl who collapsed from hypothermia on a cold night and was exposed to extreme temperatures for 6 hours. This incredible story was published in the New York Times. It's amazing. That was a miracle. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.